Hello. Mm-hmm. Are you serious? From Stranger Things? Seriously? From Gladiator? Yeah. Saltburn? Are you seriously? The cast of the upcoming Beatles biopics has been announced. Biopics. I say biopics. I'm sorry if that annoys you. The cast of the upcoming Beatles biopics have been announced. I don't really know what I'm feeling, but hopefully talking it out in this video will help me feel some way or another. In June of 2024, it was announced that Sam Mendes, who has directed movies like American Beauty and 1917, would be tackling 4 full-length feature films covering the Beatles' story. Each film is going to showcase a different perspective. So like the first film might be John's perspective of when the band first got together and blah, blah, blah. And then the second movie could be Ringo through the Help movie and the Help years. And then the third movie, my guess is that it'll be George and about going to India. And then the last movie, my guess is going to be Paul's movie about the band's breakup because he had to like sue his band member, blah, 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 blah. That's my guess. Anyways, Sam Mendes is directing 4 Beatle biopics, and he just released his cast for the 4 mop tops. On March 31st, 2025, the 4 men who will be portraying the 4 lads from Liverpool was announced at CinemaCon. Now, the reaction to this cast has been not too good. Not too good from Beatles fans and Beatles haters. Now, before we get into the cast, I want to start this video off by stating what characteristics are most important to me as a Beatles fan. What I think should have been the most important when casting these 4 men. At the very tippy top of my list is chemistry. Chemistry is what made the Beatles so special. You can go back and watch interviews of the Stones, Herman's Hermits, like even the Beach Boys don't have the kind of chemistry that the Beatles had. That's what made them so special. You could see their chemistry in interviews. You could see their chemistry in their music. You could hear it. You could hear the chemistry between the Beatles in their songs. And chemistry is what made the breakup of the band so hard to stomach because it felt like a divorce between 4 dudes. The second most important characteristic to me is looks, physical looks. And I gotta tell you, off the bat, I didn't really see it. But we'll go a little more in depth about how I feel about looks later in the video. But looks are up there. I think the Beatles have very distinctive traits. And you have 2 types of fans. You have Beatles fans who are like, I like their music, but they all look the exact same to me. And then you have other Beatles fans who could probably distinguish who's who by a picture of their big toe or something. Oh, I know that's Ringo's big toe. Oh, I know that's John's pinky finger or John's other finger. Anyways, I think the initial reaction from the internet was, what? These guys do not look like the Beatles, which we'll tackle later. I think a lot of people are forgetting how far movie magic has come, makeup, prosthetics, all that kind of stuff. We will tackle that later. The third and final characteristic, IMO, in my opinion, is acting ability, which I don't have a lot to say right now. We'll talk more about that later as well. But those are my big 3. Chemistry, looks, acting ability. Bam. With my 3 big important characteristics out of the way, here's the cast of the upcoming Beatle biopics. John Lennon is going to be played by Harris Dickinson. Dickinson has starred in projects such as Triangle of Sadness and the recent thriller Baby Girl. The only film of his I've seen so far is the A24 film Iron Claw, where he played David Von Erich. So he has biopic experience, which is a great sign. He knows what it means. He knows how it feels to portray someone who people already know, which is the most difficult thing about the Beatles, is that everyone knows the Beatles. There's so much Beatles content everywhere. Everyone all over the world knows the Beatles. And so Harris Dickinson has an idea of what he's up against. The most questionable cast, in my opinion, is Barry Keoghan as Ringo Starr. I haven't seen any of Keoghan's films, but last year he starred in Saltburn. He also starred in Christopher Nolan's Dunkirk, which I've heard good things about both movies. I do see Ringo in his face. I see Ringo in his nose. And he is the shortest of the four. So there's that. Harris Dickinson is playing John, and he's way taller, which I believe Paul was the tallest Beatle. I'm a fake fan for not really knowing that. But I guess John is going to be that, which is hilarious because in the biopic about the Beatles manager, Brian Epstein, which came out a few months ago, not in the US, only in the UK and Australia, the John Lennon actor was actually the shortest. He was teeny tiny compared to the other Beatles. So in one biopic, we have a very, very short John, and now in this one, we have a very tall John. So whatever, I'll make do. The Stranger Things star Joseph Quinn is taking on the role of George Harrison, and I think this is the casting that made the internet the most upset. George Harrison was very special. Like, there is no one I trust more than someone who says their favorite Beatle is George. Like Conan O'Brien. I trust that man with my life because he's a George Harrison mega fan. In past Beatle biopics like Backbeat and Nowhere Boy, the scripts commit to George being the quiet Beatle. Perhaps this was because his accent and his mannerisms are just so difficult to get right. What I'm trying to say is Godspeed, Mr. Quinn. Godspeed. Lastly, and most important to me, Paul. The Pauls. Paul Mescal, the Irishman, will be portraying Paul McCartney in these biopics. I am most confident about this casting. This casting makes the most sense to me. I think he looks like Paul. He's a little rugged, but he looks like Paul. I think he has the acting ability from what I've seen and heard. I think this one makes the most sense. Although I do love the jokes I've seen. I retweeted one, someone saying that Paul Mescal needs to get on some estrogen so he can soften up to portray Paul McCartney correctly. And I just want to remind Beatles fans, Paul McBeardy was a thing. Paul McCartney has a very manly side, which, if the last movie out of the four is Paul's point of view, then yeah, he's going to be rugged, sad, depressed because the band is breaking up. Oh, and I think Paul Mescal is really going to eat that. I think he's going to do a great job. Now, it's important to remember that these guys have probably been training for these roles for a while now and will continue to hone in their portrayals over the next year. So they're going to have things like dialect coaches, Beatle experts. Also, most importantly, they literally are backed by Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr. Like, Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr's socials have been sharing all the news about the biopics. No other Beatles biopics have ever been backed by the Beatles estate or any of their solo estates. So that's what really sets these apart. I don't think anybody wants to screw this up. The weight of these biopics is probably already weighing down heavy on Sam Mendes, who I think is very, very brave for taking on this project. Sam Mendes announced that all 4 films will be released in April of 2028. Mendes said that this will be the first bingeable theatrical experience. I mean, the Beatles changed everything about music. Why not change how we go to the movies? Mendes also stated that the title of the whole project is The Beatles, a 4-film cinematic event. Now, I don't know if that's the title of the movies or what. They could just add part 1, part 2, part 3, part 4 to the end of the title for each movie. I don't know. I think each film will be released 1 week at a time in April. So by the end of April, you can go do a quadruple feature at the movie theater if you want, which I'm interested to see how movie theaters feel about this. Like, how is that showing? How many theaters are they going to show these movies in? You know, so by the end of April and for 2 months after, are they going to have 4 theaters dedicated to the Beatles movies? Which, like, worth it. I bet these movies gross so much money. It's gonna be insane. When the cast first dropped a few days ago, I will be totally honest, my heart kind of sank into my tummy. I know these 4 guys have been rumored to be playing the Beatles for the past few months, but I was really holding out hope that they would cast some unknown actors. I think casting known actors, especially some of the biggest names in acting right now, just makes it harder to gain people's trust. And you might be saying, well, I don't know them. Great. Good for you. You don't know them. I don't really know them either. I just know their names and their faces, and I've seen bits and pieces of their work. my expectations are already low because I'm just not a fan of what I've already seen, which truly is not a fair thing to say. However, I would rather have no expectations because I don't know the name than diminished expectations because I do. Now, before I dog on these guys too much, I want to get back to my list of important characteristics. Hopefully, these 4 men have insane chemistry. Maybe they're already super locked in, like best buddies, best pals, hanging out every day. Who knows? I just know in my heart that Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr had to have stressed the importance of connection between these actors. If the chemistry isn't there, these films will fail. No matter the script, no matter the acting, the connection has to be solid. As for looks, maybe things aren't perfect, but movie makeup has come an awful long way. Unfortunately, movie makeup cannot make Harris Dickinson shorter, but thicken up the eyebrows on Quinn, shave Paul Mescal, give Dickinson some Buddy Hollies, and throw some rings on Keoghan, and bam! I see the potential. I see it. I am most worried about Quinn and Dickinson, but I would imagine they've already been through things like wardrobe testing, makeup testing. They have probably already tested so many things because who wants to screw this up? Nobody. As for acting ability, I'm gonna have to do my research. It's funny because I'm being a little hypocritical because I'm like, I want unknown actors, but I haven't even seen these guys' movies. But I know them. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? I didn't know the guys who were in Bohemian Rhapsody. You know, I didn't know. I knew Rami Malek. That was it. And I trust Rami Malek, man. I trust him. But I didn't know any of the other guys. I know the guy that played John Deacon was in Jurassic Park, I think. And he did amazing. But like other than that, I didn't know anybody. And that made it great. The guy that played Brian May looked just like him. Had no idea who he was. Luckily for these guys, they have a lot of content to work off of. There are so many interviews, movies, documentaries, and much more material for these guys to study. I just know that they are being given every single resource available, including access to Paul and Ringo. I think Bohemian Rhapsody was such a success because Brian May and Roger Taylor were so involved. They were on set day in, day out. And they consistently expressed their satisfaction with Rami Malek and the rest of the cast. That's so special. At the end of the day, I don't know how tedious this casting process was or how long it took, but I can guarantee it was done with Beatles fans in mind. The best thing about these films is that Paul McCartney and Ringo Starr are fully backing them. The Beatles estate is behind Sam Mendes 100%. Their social medias have been sharing all the news about the biopics, and that, again, has never happened before. No other Beatles movies outside of the ones they made have ever been backed by the Beatles. I trust Paul and Ringo, and I just have to keep telling myself that over these next 3 years. They are going to tell us the story they want us to know. And that's important. That's why the Get Back series was so successful, because Paul and Ringo were there. And it was made with love and guidance. I truly think Beatles fans and non-Beatles fans are in for a treat. I think there is going to be something for everyone in these movies, and they're going to be really, really special. I also want to wish the best of luck to these 4 men, because this is going to be so challenging. Not just personally for them, but Beatles fans are scary. Beatles fans are scary people. They scare me. I couldn't imagine taking on these roles. And, like, choosing to do that would just be so difficult. And the stakes are so high. And the internet's initial reaction just hasn't been that nice. A lot of people are very upset with this casting. I just want to say, if you're upset about it, or you've been seeing the memes and you're like, man, okay, I'm just not going to give these movies a chance because the casting already sucks. Have faith. Have faith. Trust in the drummer. Trust in the bassist. I think things are going to be okay. I think things are going to be fine. They have 3 years. Look, nobody trusted Timothée Chalamet. Nobody trusted him when it was announced that he would be playing Bob Dylan. And now everyone loves that movie. Everyone loves well, maybe not loves, but everyone was very impressed with his portrayal of Bob Dylan. So everyone needs to take a chill pill and trust the process, okay? They literally just put the base face down, okay? No eyeshadow, no lipstick, nothing. Base face. Trust the process. We're going to have a supermodel by the end of this. Please. Oh my God, if these movies flop. And I said it on Twitter and I'll say it here. You guys have 3 years to prepare for how annoying I'm going to be, because I'm not going to shut up, okay? These movies are going to be so special to me. These could be the last projects Paul and Ringo work on. And that is just insane to think about. So, of course, they're going to put their all into it. Oh, I'm so excited. Okay, anyways, thank you so much for watching. My name's Jayla Ray. I love the Beatles, and I also love boxing. For those of you that don't know, I'm going to be boxing in Creator Clash 3 in Tampa, Florida this June 28th. I'm very excited. You can grab your tickets now. In-person tickets are on sale, and pay-per-view tickets are on sale as well. You can go grab pay-per-view tickets now. All proceeds from this event are going to Stand Up to Cancer. So go ahead and stand up to cancer with me and punch it in its ugly ass face. Also, don't forget to check out my other socials. I do stuff elsewhere. Go check it out. And my Discord server as well, discord.gg/JaylaRay. It's a cool place. We got a lot of gamers in there. Not a whole lot of Beatles stuff going on in there, but if you like video games, you should hop in. That's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it.